It arrived on a Wednesday, a thin envelope tucked between bills, grocery coupons, and forgotten flyers. Ordinary, unremarkable. I almost threw it away without opening it, but something about it, a slant of handwriting maybe, or the way it seemed to weigh a little more than paper should, made me pause. I slipped my finger under the flap and opened it carefully, as if it might break. Inside, a simple sheet of stationery, slightly yellowed at the edges, a few handwritten lines in soft, sloping script. It was a letter from a teacher I barely remembered, from decades ago, from a classroom that had blurred in my memory, faded like old photographs left out in the sun. I read the first line aloud, the words sounding strange and sacred in the quiet of my kitchen. You mattered more than you knew. I sat down. The letter continued. Your kindness in my classroom helped me through a very dark time. Your small gestures, a smile, a quiet word, the way you listened, they stayed with me. They reminded me that goodness still existed when I had almost forgotten. I never told you. I should have. But I want you to know, you made a difference. I read it again and again. Tears came easily, though I couldn't tell you exactly why. Maybe it was grief for all the years I spent believing my life had been too small to touch anyone. Maybe it was gratitude. Maybe it was the slow, aching beauty of being seen, even after all this time. I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes, and slowly, memories I thought were long gone began to return. I remembered that classroom, rows of scuffed desks, the smell of dry erase markers and dust, the way the light fell through the high windows in long golden beams. I remembered her, the teacher, always soft-spoken, always a little tired around the eyes. She wore long flowing skirts and cardigans with fraying cuffs. She often paused mid-sentence as if searching for a word just out of reach. I remembered offering to help her carry a box of books one afternoon. A small thing, a few moments, but the way she smiled at me, a real smile, not the automatic kind, stuck with me longer than I realized. And now, here it was, echoing back to me across the years. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, long after the dishes were done, and the world had gone quiet. I thought about the hundreds, maybe thousands, of moments in my life that I had dismissed as nothing. The stranger I held the door open for, the friend I stayed up with on the phone when they couldn't sleep, the lost tourist I gave directions to, who smiled with such pure relief. Tiny moments, small sparks, forgotten almost as soon as they happened. But what if they weren't nothing at all? What if, somewhere, someone was carrying a moment I had forgotten as a lifeline? I pulled out a notepad, and I began to write 3 letters, one to a friend from childhood who never knew how much their laughter saved me, one to an old neighbor who once left a bag of groceries on our doorstep during a hard winter, one to a nurse who sat with me in an emergency room. No words, just steady presence, simple letters, simple thanks. I realized as I wrote, gratitude is a kind of light. It doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be real. Over the next few weeks, I found myself moving differently through the world. I lingered a little longer in conversations. I smiled more often, not the polite kind, but the real kind. I held space for strangers in small, invisible ways, not because I expected anything, not because it would be remembered, but because I knew now, every spark matters, every kindness leaves a mark, even if we never see it. Sometimes I wonder how many lives we touch without ever knowing. Sometimes I wonder how many dark nights have been softened by a word, a glance, a small, steady light we offered without thinking. Maybe we never find out. Maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is to keep shining anyway, to glow forth. Thank you for listening to this Glow Forth journey. May your light find the ones who need it most. Until next time, keep glowing forth.